is what I want to try. Okay. So once we're just here, if I programs, we start writing programs today. say anything, because I can hear that, they're not muted.
I opened the microphone here, so they can hear.
But now this is echo and, some feedback and all.
No, because you're muted.
No, because
As
you're
long
muted.
as he's the only one with microphone.
So it's okay now?
It's okay.
So, but why didn't the online people say anything about it, right? So I was just walking around, dancing, a silent dance.
Maybe they are saying using the chat, but you are muted and close the speaker, so
they're not muted. The online people aren't muted. They can just say, speak up, right? Say, I can hear you.
Maybe they heard you through somebody else's microphone.
But anyway, as long as it works, that's okay, right? So if you have any problems, you should just let me know. And the goal here is to join in class. All of you, the right to join cameras. We're all here. We can see each other. Yeah, face each other. Hey, you weren't here last class, right? You came late or something like that. Why don't you sit with someone? Okay, why don't you sit with someone here? Don't go off in the corner. Well, yeah, we'll sit with Jonah. Okay, sit with Jonah right now. Okay, hey, where's Chris? Okay, you're gonna do someone. Eventually, right now we're just going to be doing basic stuff. But eventually you'll start doing interesting stuff, and people will say, I want to take a deviation, and the rest wants to do something else. Just hold this over and say, I want to try this. Can you think of some cool way? Yeah, those kinds of things. Right? I think Panani can also help, but I don't know. He's not going to bless all the class, but Chris certainly can help for everything. So certainly, yeah, feel free. Okay, so all of you guys, all right, so switch on your cameras. I don't think everybody has an excuse for switching out there, or not having a camera on. Okay, so I went through so much trouble today to just get this thing going with, thank you, Anton. Okay, in fact, I know you through the Reddit. I've seen so much of your posts, but I think this is the first time I didn't see you last class. Yes, maybe you were online because I didn't have a proper Zoom setup. So that's why I like, switch on all of your cameras, and I think that'd be really cool. Okay, so hey Spencer, yeah. All right. Okay. Great. Okay. I'm saying great because a lot of people do drop, and you guys didn't drop. Okay. So that itself is very nice for me to feel. Okay. So that's fantastic. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We'll start with we'll just go to online GDP, and again, I want to pick someone else. Someone who's not done the first few plus, like Rebecca. Okay. I think you're past the first few plus, Rebecca. Yeah. I want to pick someone who's never ever coded before. I'm just going to walk through the whole damn thing, from the beginning, hashing code and everything, and then we're going to dissect it and say this is what each part does, each plus sign or everything. We'll just go through everything so that you're absolutely comfortable with that. And one person is going to do that. I'm going to walk them through that. I'll talk them through this, and I'll be basically reacting to what's on the shared screen here. The only thing I'm going to do the request for is online or you guys, and then we found out last class. Is that before you share your screen, make sure that you don't have any other personal messages pop out or driver license cards. You may not know this, but we have had people who share the desktops, knowing that it's probably going to be on YouTube with their desktop, with a driver license photo that they took for someone, right? So make sure that, because last class I think I was thinking, there was some messages popping up, and I thought, oh my god, that's I can't publish this video anymore because now this is all being recorded and it's personal stuff maybe, right? So just make sure, incognito window, 100% sure, and what was the other thing? And make sure that your desktop's also. It doesn't have to be clean. Just don't have any personal stuff on it, because if you do that, then I'll have to waste like a half hour just or editing it. And most of the time, I'm just gonna say I'm not screw this. I won't publish it at all. Okay, so there's a lot of videos that I just have like that I'm not gonna make public just because someone should bring your personal information there. So just make sure. I think that will help all the students too, because the more information we put out there, the more they can refer to and their stuff. Okay, so it does not have to be someone in class. Okay, it does not have to be someone in class. Anyone out there. In fact, let's try an online student. Okay, how about? First of all, I'm not even able to see all the online students here. Okay, first of all of the online students. Hey Jonah, you're not switching on your camera, but you're in class.
I don't have a camera.
Oh, you don't have a camera at all on that machine?
I have like an external camera if you want.
Wow. Okay, and that's a laptop.
Yeah.
And it's like from recent laptop.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so they've actually built a laptop tailored for a customer segment that says, this is what I want. Just like building a Linux laptop says no frills on it.
I mean, it is a Linux machine.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay, so you can actually get what you want on it. So that is really cool. That is good to know actually, because especially if you need a console and a screen. Okay, good. All right. So how about this? Someone online. We'll try online. Okay, someone online today for coding. We will come back to our class afterwards. I think it'll all be the same experience pretty much. Okay. So how about someone online who's not in class? share their screen, okay, share the screen, and then go to a private browser, and we'll just go to onlinegdp.com. I think that worked last class. Okay, so we'll just go to onlinegdp.com, and then we'll start coding this program. And I think what we decided to do last class, I believe, is that it is going to ask the user, what is your name? It's going to read their name, and then forget about asking for a number and a lucky number and things like that. Okay, after it reads in a name, let's say it's going to change that name in some way. Okay, so I'm going to do one way of changing. They basically step through the letters of the name, and every vowel you change to a random there. Okay, so we'll try that. However, after the demo is done, you're all going to do your own version of the name changer. Okay, so maybe Kira might decide I'm going to change every third consonant. Whatever, you pick your own, right? Or maybe say, I'm going to change all of the letters between 3 and 4 to A's. Or insert entire syllables like ABA, or you can do whatever you want. And the thing is, each one is going to do a different thing. It's not going to be shared. But after a while, you're going to, share what you've done with, people at your table or other people, and say, why don't you try my name? And say, I actually had fun with that because 2 quarters ago, a number of that the program, and she posted a link. It's probably still active, because online GDB usually catches these for 5 years, maybe, right? So if you click on it, it'll ask you what your name is, and it'll transfer your name and put it in. And I remember I tried her name. It's a game because you put it on online GDP, anyone can run it. If you have a grandma somewhere in Sweden or somewhere else, or you can say, hey, grandma, find your name here. Okay, so that would be really cool. And it'll just work because it's a link that will be open. And then I tried that. I think, and I told her that, according to the program, my name is Iwimr, IWIMR. Okay, it sounds like it comes out of, a lot of the rooms, but it does some interesting transformations. Right? You can think of some kind of regular transformation that goes from A and B to IWIMR, right? So that's probably something that she's done, and maybe some randomization in there. But it's really interesting to try it. And and it doesn't have to be, what we do in the demo. Each one is going to do their own. If it doesn't work, there's Chris, there's me, there's Fanny, there's a lot of people, right? Maybe Rebecca also, because she's done with, there's quite a few people who've done with the first few classes. Yes, it's not like just 1 or 2. There's a lot of people in class who've done the first few classes, but we have people all over the place, and you don't have to do, you don't have to do everything fast. I think I told my 2B students in the virtual catch-up is that the goal of the luxury of this, this 12 weeks is that you get to eat your cake over 12 weeks. There's no use stuffing your mouth with it, and then you don't get much out of it. So you just take a bite every week, and you'll just have a good time, but at the same time, it'd be really cool. So no, I don't mean to say that don't rush ahead. You should go at the speed that you are naturally able to, but you should never outbreak yourself based on what you think other people are doing. So I started talking about this last quarter, right? So last class. So this is duck feet syndrome. Okay, so I heard about this the first time when I was one of the parents at the Pali. And one of the parents was talking about this, and that's really interesting. And apparently, it was a thing, right? Although I wasn't 100%, right? So apparently, it's the ducks on the shore. And look at all the ducks that are swimming on a calm lake, okay? And they think, wow, that is so effortless, and they're doing it. It just comes naturally to them. I'm not going to do anything at all. I can never do something as beautiful as that. I'm just going to stand on the shore, okay? So they never dip their feet in the water at all because they think that is impossible. But if you actually take a closer look, you'll actually see that those ducks who you actually see on the surface to be skimming effortlessly, they're just vigorously paddling with their feet underneath. You just don't see it. So, what you see, never base your judgment or anything on what you see. You think, what's the right thing? Is it something that I can do? Just go ahead and do it. Okay? Because many times what we see and what we hear and what we're told is totally incorrect. And we should follow it. Just because we're lazy to say that, to challenge it. Because challenging takes a little bit of non-laziness. Say this is work involved, right? Because if you don't challenge it, there's no work involved. Because people will let you be, right? But if it's getting in your way, you should challenge it rather than, just. I think that is what this whole exercise, I think, is set up to. So let's do that, okay? So let's do that. Start programming, and when we code, I'll talk you through every step, and then every step we'll make sure that every single person on Reddit, on the Zoom, okay, and here everybody should be able to write their own version of a name changer. Okay, and I think that's a completely achievable goal in one class. Yep, yeah. Completely achievable. Okay, great. And if we do more, that's even better. Even better if we can do more, but we'll, set up something reasonable for starters. Okay, all right. So how about who wants to take the screen? Okay, in fact, what I'm going to do is, the person among the people who are not got their cameras on, right? Those are the people that I'm going to target first. Okay, and I think that will probably encourage you to have your cameras on too. But if you haven't got your camera on, consider sharing your screen. All you have to do is okay, right? Great. Well, hey, by the way, I had a question out for you. Are you online and you just came to class last time, or are you face to face?
No, I'm just online today. Just
I can't hear
problems
you.
today.
Because it's over there. Yes, it's over here. No, it's on. Oh, it's over here. Maybe I can, change the volume. Is there a volume button on this thing? Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, what was it? You said?
Oh, just some problems today. Nothing big. Just
Never
gonna
mind.
make it.
Good to see you today. Okay.
Okay.
I totally didn't hear what he said, but since everybody laughed, so this is actually a joke. That Reagan. Apparently, this is the time when I was a grad student and all, and undergrad, and Ron Reagan was, and his joke was about him, and he went to Japan on a visit, and he gave this extremely long joke. You heard that, right? And someone said in Japan, in Japanese, a couple of sentences or a couple of words, and the entire audience burst into laughter, and they said, "Oh, that's really efficient translation." And he said, no, I just said, he just sort of told a joke, just laugh. Okay, and so that's efficient translation, I guess. All right, okay, so either Hosyu, is that how you pronounce your name? Hosyu? He's away, okay, all right. How about Krishav? Krishav?
Yeah.
Well, if not, we're coming to you, Eric, okay?
Okay.
Because, you're like hesitant about switching camera on until you're pressured, okay? So, hey, Charlie, too. One of you guys, okay? Krishav, Charlie, Spencer too, right? All of you guys on the bottom row. This is bottom row for everyone. Yeah, okay. Anyone on the bottom row, feel free to share. You don't have to share your entire desktop. Go to share your windows and just select your Chrome window or Safari window with a browser. Just open a private browser, and then we'll go from there. We'll just go to onlinegdb.com and start recording. Yeah, how about that?
Cool.
And along the way, we'll take advantage of all the luxuries we have, right? Since online GDP, even if you go like one line, we can just hit run and just to see what the effect is. Go a few more lines, hit run. We can do all that because all those compute cycles really don't cost them a lot, and you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, I'm consuming too many resources here. Okay, so why hasn't who was it supposed to be? Krishav, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to take the screen?
Sure.
I can hear you, but I am going to do this, okay? Because it would be nice if everybody can hear you too.
Maybe you can use the mouse.
There's big speakers here. You should fill up the whole room with the sound, yeah?
It's supposed to be, but
Because these big speakers here.
Try selecting the volume in the bottom right and see if there's like a.
Okay, it's controlled by the software.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe I never think about these things.
No, the bottom, the windows are.
Yeah, I'm trying to go there, but maybe I gotta minimize this guy first.
Double click.
No, this is not an Apple. This thing, Zoom is obscuring the Windows taskbar. Okay, thanks for finding.
是的。软件条码，
Oh, press escape.
Oh, let's see, like this. Oh, great.
100%.
Hey, no, move it all the way to the end. Can you guys say something? The online guys? Can you Krishav, can you speak?
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear us? Now we can't hear them.
Yeah, now it's hard hearing the people in the classroom.
I think they're just muted.
Yeah, but I changed it in Windows, but I'm not Zoom picked up on that.
Yeah, and even before that, it's just really hard hearing the professor because he's so far away from the mic.
Yeah.
Anyway, while he's getting ready, that's what we're gonna do, okay? So just going on, it's here. Hey, Krisha, this thing set up. Can you command control?
What's the
Now
feedback?
there's a lot of feedback. Yeah.
I can't hear him again.
Me and then, oh, whoever. Hey, I can hear me.
Yeah.
Online, guys. Krisha, can you say something?
Yeah.
Hey, that's much better. Okay, so now.
Sure, there's feedback, but yeah.
I mean, if the mic is from the computer that's sharing the sound, then I don't think there should be.
Yeah, because we can only hear that.
Yeah.
I will have to figure out a solution to this somehow. Okay, I think the online guys can hear it, that's fine. Maybe someone could just keep an eye on the chat. Have those friends they can type in chat. We just have to mute them on that. Which, no, it's coming out. It's coming out.
Go to the camera next to unmute. Select the speaker. Link that and try. Now you can-
Krisha, can you say something?
Yeah.
You know,
Can you hear me?
good me and it's a.
Yeah, if you mute yourself, right?
It's like a walkie-talkie now. You gotta make sure that each person has got a button to press and it's not.
Well, let's see. I can open my computer's phone.
All right, now can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
The echo or whatever that thing is, this is delayed feedback, because it's not causing a, that vicious feedback where, you know, it keeps on getting better and it results in a squeal, but you just have to tune it out of your mind. If you're okay with that, we'll just go with the audio on, and this was going to be this echo that you gotta ignore. This is fine, so we'll try and figure out some way.
There isn't feedback.
Yeah, hey, okay, Simon. Yeah, let's do this, okay? Just, yeah, have, all right, so, but the online guys can hear me now, yes, and I can hear Krisha.
Yeah.
Okay, I hit Control Plus a couple of times so that we get big font and everybody can see what this is. Control, is this a Mac or a PC? I'm sorry.
This is, wait, just?
It's Windows, okay. You have,
Yeah.
maybe one more time. Can you guys the back row? Wait, how about Rebecca? Can you read hello world?
Oh, well, I have it on my.
No, not from there. Can you read it here? Oh, you can. Yeah, on? Can you read what's on the screen? Hit Control Plus one more time, Krisha.
Yep.
How about this? Can you guys read it? Yeah. Okay. Right, so let's just follow that code. Don't all of you, okay?
Close
Don't look at
this.
your screen, just follow this, and then, oh, I see you can see that on your screen. That's what I'm saying. So you're not worried. Whatever. Okay. All right. So here's what we'll do. Let's just, as soon as you get in here, you get a freebie, just run it. Make sure you get a hello out. Right. However, remember that this is different from the requirement for quest number 1. Okay, if you submit that, you only get 0.9 rupees or something like that. So you got to figure out what's different. What's different between that output and what's required for the test. That's all, right? But you'll get the password for number 2 out of the way. So all right, so it runs. It prints hello out. Technically, right? This is incorrect. Okay, this is not the output of that program. It's printing 2 new lines after that, so it kind of suggests that there is a new line after that thing. But we didn't print a new line at all. Yeah. So, all right. So let's try and get the user's input. Right. We'll ask the user what is your name, get the number, get the value, and then say hello. Right. So we'll follow the exact same steps that we did last time with Rebecca. Right. What is your name? Right. And name, yeah, right? Now you will also do some stylistic things here, okay? So after the question mark, I put a space there. And no new line. This is stylistic. You don't have to do it this way. But I like it because, you know, if you think about it from a user's perspective, you know, it's not nice to type something on the next line from a question. It's always nice to type it on the same line. And we can take advantage of the fact that, well, we'll come to this later, okay? Sometimes when you send something to the screen, it does not appear, okay? And because C in and C out are what are called buffered streams, okay? It's really cool because these things that interact with humans, okay, like screens and keyboards, okay, they're designed to operate at human speeds. You know, it's far away. But then the CPU and these other things work at blindingly fast speeds. Compare. This is a different order of magnitude. You can't even imagine. And so, anytime a heavy-duty process needs a human input, okay, it's not going to say every time I need something, I'm going to ask this human to give it to me, right? It's not going to work. Because, you know, we are operating in different time scales. So what it will do is, this is called buffering, okay? And this is like many people do, is just store it up, okay? I will store it up until a point where I can present a successful illusion. This is successful illusion to the human that the communication is instantaneous. That's what's going on. That's called buffered input. So in order to present successful illusion, so as you're typing, those letters are not actually seen by the logic of your code yet. It's there, it's living in some memory buffer. Okay, it's not being read from there into processing areas. Okay, it's still living there. But then you're thinking that, you know, it asks me for my name, I'm typing it in, it's reading it in. Okay, so it gives you an illusion that it's typing it in, but it's not being read. However, you can break that illusion, right? If you choose to, right? You can break that illusion by, you know, hang on, what's it gonna say? Yeah. So it gives you the illusion. If you now ask input from the user after putting a prompt, okay, and it still didn't flush the buffer, okay, then the illusion breaks. Yes? Yes or no? So you printed the prompt and a question mark, didn't flush. It doesn't flush because it's buffered. It's actually a very nice and side concept, okay? So it's actually interesting and it's not necessary, but it is, I think it's good to appreciate. So that's why I'm describing it, okay? It's actually buffered input, meaning it's out there, but the system is intelligent enough to know that, you know, I don't have to send it to that big trip, that expensive trip to the human. I don't have to do it now because I can still be in CPU space, you know, thinking at CPU speed until a point when if I don't make that trip, the human will notice. Okay, so that's exactly what it's doing. So it's holding on. So at that point, when you say CN, meaning I want to read from the user, that's one of the cues. Okay, the system can understand. So I got to flush. Okay. Now I got to flush before I start reading from the user because at this point it's very likely, but it's not likely. It's, you know, greater than 0% chance that it is, you know, a user could be expecting something. So it makes a lot of these intelligent decisions, which I don't think are, these are things that are not even appreciated in any of the text. Very expert level text, just things that you hear by just working with people and also working on your own along a lot of times because you encounter these things and say, why is it done this way? Right? Why didn't they do it the obvious way, which I would have thought of? And then you try it the obvious way, and you say, well, you know what? After a couple of months, you say, well, you know, the obvious way is cool, but I want to make it faster, or you turn some things here. And then within a couple of years, you find that, you know, your method, which you started with, has kind of morphed into what is out there anyway. So it's just that, you know, someone had actually taken that upon themselves to say, instead of 2 years, I'm going to do it in a, you know, 2-month master's thesis or something like that, and publish an algorithm. So there are lots of these algorithms. And in fact, you're implementing a bunch of these algorithms. In fact, in CS2C, there's some sorting algorithms that you'll implement, I think. And one of them is actually faster than the library sort. This is the C++ library sort. And I did have an extracurricular project that, you know, it's like, we're looking to why it's faster than, you know, the library sort. It's interesting, but, you know, many students are also fighting max flow and other things at that time. So it comes at their own time. But it's an interesting project to look into, right, if and when you have time. I'm also interested, right? So I have a hunch of why, but, you know, it'll be fun to look at. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So what is your name? See your name. Now you can say hello, hello name. You just say hello name. You don't no frills here. Just say hello name. Just make sure that you're able to read whatever that person types in. Okay. And then I'll suggest a couple of modifications. Let's say instead of that person, what's your name? And instead of saying John, they say John Smith. Maybe 2 words. what happens then, right? So those are things that you explore. It's actually interesting to explore, right? And then make a note, right? You can make a note, and in fact, we can create a Reddit post, right? In class today, we talked about CN, yeah? Hey, online guys, all of you guys too, right? So you can say in class, we talked about CN, experiment, and then I thought, well, why don't I experiment? Why don't I say, what happens if, my name has 2 parts to it? Okay, so what happens? And how can I overcome that? That's a very important question. In fact, you have to face that question in one of the questions. How you can use a certain form of reading input that is robust to inner sentential spaces. And so you're going to do that. And so it'll be nice to just find it on your own as part of experimentation, right? And the cool thing is you can always post to the right. Say, hey, I was experimenting with it, didn't work. And so many people here, right? Who actually love the opportunity to jump in and say, hey, that's why, or something like that. It'll be fun. This is just quests that people, I think, don't give explicit answers. So this is what you do. But if you ask a concept question, like, why this particular pointer configuration results in an error after 5 iterations, or something like that, some crazy ass question like that, right? Maybe someone will actually know exactly why, right? And say, well, if you actually trace it down, this is what happened in my Visual Studio or something like that. That's it. And that's the reason. And maybe that you overlook that, and that's all really fun to do. So you can go into ask some detail if you want, even the answers, as long as it's not directly frustrated. Okay, all right. So does it work? Oh, hello. Why is student saying hello? Oh, you gotta say after that CO. Krishna, yeah, copy that CO. Triple click on CO. Line 16. Triple click on line 16. Yeah.
Click on line 16.
Triple click. Actually, if I'm saying here and showing you the number 3, you can't see anything, right? Because the camera's over there. I was actually pointing at Pamini and Simon. Yeah, is that what it is? So you guys can only see Pamini and Simon, or not even them. I'm going to turn the laptop around. Okay. Or not the laptop, or this thing. Oh, just this. I don't know. I can't see. We're not doing anything on the whiteboard. Yeah, if we want to, right? Yeah. Right.
The online class can't see the whiteboard otherwise.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So I'll have to make sure that I don't use the whiteboard until the very end of the class. And we can turn it around, or or even one of you can bring your laptop around and just we'll project the laptop instead of this, or the whiteboard later on if someone wants to use the whiteboard. Like last time, like Isidore and even Eric had these questions about the hexadecimal conversion and all. I think you were there too. We were sitting there, and then we did this on the whiteboard. But we don't have to use the whiteboard. Most of the stuff we're doing is online. I think we'll see how it goes. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, all right. So hey, Krisha, can you hear me? Just triple click on the C out, triple click on line 16, triple clicks. Yeah, all right. Now control C, and then click on 18, enter one more time. Enter. Oh, you got it. Oh, stop. Oh, because it's waiting for your input. Okay, yeah, now, paste. So you seem to be reasonably familiar with online TV. You used it before, have you?
I haven't used this. I'm just I don't know. I've coded in Java and Python, Clojure, Fractal.
No worries, right? See out, and you can say hello, and then name. Yeah, and let's make some stylus changes. So put us a blank line after string name. So like an English essay, we got the declaration part that is the introductory paragraph, and then you have the rest of the essay, right? In bits and pieces. So, but it should all be nearly. That's why good programming is also like good writing in a sense, because you're going to encapsulate your thoughts, logically coherent thoughts, into sections, and that these sections will kind of mirror how paragraphs look in a good essay, because you look at the whole thing and the rough idea. All right, this is what it's going towards, and then you can look at it for fine detail and say, all right, okay, it was because the sky was red that day, or something like that. Okay. So that will automatically emerge. And again, like I said, I said this to my 2B students, that kind of intuition about the aesthetics of, maybe it's not just programming, right? Any kind of writing, I think it kind of emerges naturally after you just keep fighting with, the mess for a long time, okay? Because I think because of our inherent laziness, we just tend to figure out patterns so that we can just put them on autopilot and it'll be running. And so I think that the urge to seek patterns is probably what is at work there. So if you just keep practicing again and again, you'll just discover the pattern. Okay, and that pattern really just embeds itself in your mind as the intuition. So, it's just becomes, you have to see enough samples, obviously. In the same metaphor as I think I used last class, you have this solid for which you have many observations, because that's what data science and engineering and machine learning is, right? Because we don't know it is a sphere. We just know lots and lots of points on it, which satisfy the equation of a sphere, centered at some place and with a given radius. Yeah, but you really don't know. Maybe it is, like a sphere, but then you got this long pinnacle, bam, like that. Who knows? Right? So inductive science tells us that, you got a sufficient number of points, and you can basically say it's going to be a sphere. So we just make that mental leap. And in fact, it is a leap if you think about it philosophically, because the points are discrete, but the sphere is continuous. And in fact, the continuum is uncountably more than the countable. Yes, because infinite numbers. Yes, but anyway, we don't talk about discrete math and all here. You can enroll in discrete math course, but the continuum is a whole order more. and so we're making that mental jump. Where is it? Where is it? Right? Because but if you look at the entire number space or the number space, the lattice points are basically zero volume. They don't even exist. In the continuum is where the real matter is of the number line. Because lattice points, when you zoom out, don't actually exist. You just see that thing there. Even after it's actually thrown the rationals. I'm very fond of saying this, right? Because it's a digression, but I actually love saying this. Is that, the rationals, people would think that even normally intelligent people, right? They would feel that you got these numbers in lattice points 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And the continuous in between, and that's why it's so rare, sparse. Now let's also throw on the fractions, okay? And that's called rational numbers. Fractions are rational numbers, one over another. And so someone said, well, let's say hypothetically, someone said, with the rationals, we've got the continuum, okay? Meaning that we don't just have the lattice points, but now we have a way of getting between the lattice points, right? You add these two and take the average, it's always guaranteed to be in the middle, no matter how close the two rationals are. So even if you have an infinite number of rationals, then you're bound to find another rational between them. So you can say that, with that insight, your number line is actually continuous, right? Because you filled in everything. But then the beauty of rational numbers in the continuum, right? And in fact, I think it's an open hypothesis. Lots of people don't know whether it's true or not. So the continuum hypothesis is that, whatever that, I don't know, I'm not specialist in discrete math, but I think it's that, the continuum is the uncountable or something like that, or LF1, or they have a name for these things, okay? So if you do discrete math, you'll discover all these incredible things, right? Not just in computer science, they're all related to computer science, because a lot of those things are kind of similar kind of reasoning and thinking, right? The halting problem and all these things, you'll actually see. That is why it's good to do math and computer science together. And also physics, if you want to do, things like machine learning or data, which is more tied to the empirical world. The real data points from the material world, right? As opposed to math and logic and pure computer science, where you don't need anything. You just need to sit down, right? With a full belly and you can think. And so that's the difference. But that's why I say, if you're really interested in computer science or math, just go in those two directions and use physics to guide your scientific sense to say what is empirically, provable and what is not, and what makes sense. And I think those empirical sciences give you a good backing on that. And so these first couple of weeks, you're going to be picking courses, right? So make sure you don't pick more than 2 or 3. Hey, I'm sorry, Chris. I think I'll just stay on the side, okay? You don't have to keep turning around all the time. So I do know that Kira and Vanessa have to, not really in a general, but you're okay, right? Yeah, okay. All right. So I'll just sit here, so that way you don't have to keep turning around. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I need to look at this, okay? So now forget about, let's get back to the subject, okay? We don't want to waste time. Please just, someone raise your hand or something, okay? Just let me know, because we have limited time. It's like 2 hours and you guys have to go home, the last of us leaves and all. So I shouldn't be wasting time talking about stuff that is not relevant directly, but I think some of what is relevant, okay? So keep that in mind. But just someone, maybe Chris, who's actually getting paid for it, okay? Or, just bring me in, okay? Bring me in and say, let's proceed with this. All right, so after we do this, we have a lot of time. All right, see how, all right, now put a blank line after string name. I appreciate I'm not just, I'm just going to read off and then you do it. And then when people have questions, we'll launch into that, okay? No, not there. After string name, after line 15, hit an enter. That is usually the aesthetic that I follow, but it's kind of cool. All right, and after C in, that also, after C in also, right? So these kind of structures, and you can group them all together later on if you want. Okay, now, hello, name, and, okay, so if you run this now, yeah, if you type in your name like Rishabh, it should say hello, Rishabh, right? Just doing one step at a time. Everybody here, online as well as here. If you have, if you're struggling with any of these things, just let me know. Yeah, yeah, you were missing in the previous class too, right? So are you good with so far? Yeah, okay, so we just want to just build on this, okay? Yeah, there's actually Quay, who was also, playing for the foothill team. And he missed the first couple of classes. Is he online? I don't know, right? Because, yeah, he also needs to know. But it's going to be recorded, so good, that's good. Okay, all right. So now let's do something, okay? Now get rid of hello name and all, okay? And instead you can say, oh, in fact, put it back, and we'll say something with it. Right? Put it back, and before that end out, yeah, open and quote, double quote, yeah, double quote. And also one of the things that I can do is to put a space after something like that. Yeah, nice. That's much better. Also after the C out. After the C out and the C in. I don't know, it's up to you, right? But we'll just because I'm calling out the code. Right. So inside the double quotes, you can say hello name. I'm going to change your name now, standby. Okay. Now, but before you say that, you need to say comma, right? So put comma. Yeah, there you go. Comma. What's that after the comma? Yeah, something after the comma, or is it your mouse or something? Did I see something after the comma? Oh, I see. It was just a pointer. Yeah. I'm going to change your name, standby. All right. Okay. Good. Now here, let's do something in an interesting way. Okay. Then change your name, full stop, and then say standby. Right. Full stop and space, space, standby. Dot. This is increase the excitement level. This is more fun. Now, here's a cool thing. I don't know whether it's Namrata or Adulzir. I think it was Adulzir. Okay, Erica. So in a previous quarter, several quarters ago, actually, I'm surprised to remember. She, yeah. Anyway, she played this game and she suggested a very simple change, which was actually brilliant. Okay, and she said, you know what? Even though we're going to get the answer like that in a couple of microseconds, put a sleep or something there. Okay, and that made all the difference. And so she said, one standby one dot, right, or something like that, and then sleep for a second, right? Standby two, right? And that actually made a huge difference again because it felt like something was crunching in the background. So you want to try that? Do you guys want to try that? We can try that, okay? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, how about this? I'm going to change it in standby. Okay, good. Now there is a command. I'm pretty sure this is available here. May not be available on your Windows machine or your Macs, I think. I don't know, maybe on Macs, okay, because it's more Unix-like. But it's certainly available here because online GDB is just a Unix machine, right? So you got a farm of Linux servers, hundreds of them, and it's one of them. So I'm pretty sure they have sleep. It's called sleep, right? So you're gonna say sleep, and then open, yeah, one. That means sleep for 1 second, okay? And that is not it's not a library call here. It is actually what is called a Unix system call. That will only work on operating systems running Linux or Unix or some variant of that, for which sleep is a call into the operating system itself. It says, this is many threads running at this time, but this thread is just going to yield to everybody else for a whole second. I'm not going to do anything at all. So take my cycles and give it to someone else. That is what the sleep thing says. And it has to be sent to the operating system because the operating system schedules everything. Yes. And so the sleep is a system call, and that's why it's not really packaged with standard libraries like this, because each operating system does it differently. But this one is pretty sure to have sleep. That's why we're using it. So in case you're confused and you try it on your PC and it doesn't work, that's the reason. Okay. So maybe put a comment. Okay. So go to line 19, hit enter. No, not line 19. Right, go to line 20. Go to line 20, hit enter. Enter. Yeah, at the end of line. All right, one more enter, and then open comment, 2 slashes. Okay, and then put a note because it's possible that not all students are going to be online students who watch the video, right? They might watch the end of it and say, well, let me try and recreate it. So if it's in the comment, they don't have to watch, me draw on and on. They can just go directly to the code and implement it themselves. So yeah, sleeping. No. Yeah, put it there. But also, we want to make sure. Note. This may not work on Windows and Macs. I don't know about Macs. Maybe it will work on Macs. If someone's got a Mac, they could try Economy or and try to say, but I think it'll not work on those things. Put it on, yeah, may not work on Windows or Mac, okay? It'll only work on Linux environments like this online. Okay. So, it may actually work on Mac. I don't know. Never mind. Okay. Right. So sleep one. Now after that, say that C out, right? C out. C out. One more second or something like say something. Say something, right? Yeah, and then one more sleep after that. C out. Yeah. And say almost there or something. Almost there. Don't give up. This is like the spam sites. You're entering your personal information. This is the results of the survey one step away. Right? Then you get locked into that. I want to see the results. And keep clicking and giving more and more information away. Yeah, almost there. There are 3 dots after almost there. Okay, and because keep that suspense up. So this is actually Erica's idea. Why don't we actually attribute it to her, right? So sleeping for suspense, and then after line 22, line 22, put two dashes after sleeping for suspense, right? After put there and say thanks to, right? Thanks to Erica Altimer, okay? Erica Erika, not C-A. Altimer, Altamir, okay? Altimer. I think it was a few quarters ago, so I don't know, right? But it doesn't matter. Because this is made a huge difference. When you run it, you'll see. Okay, so close. Okay, all right, cool. All right, now hit enter. By the way, you need semicolons after a bunch of these statements, so just put the semicolons in. Now, by the way, all of you are going to do very similar things, okay, with your own version. And I'll give you enough time to do that too. 6:45, got a whole hour. Got a whole hour? Yeah. Okay. All right. So close. Now, what we'll do is say string new name equals change underscore name, and then open parentheses, and you're going to pass name as a parameter to this function. Okay, you're going to read up on this. It's very simple. Okay, if you don't understand this, ask the Reddit. There's lots of people who can help you understand this. All we want is, we want a function. We're going to define something that is going to do our job for us, but in order to do it, we need to give it something, and that is a parameter. So we say, here is a name, change it and give me a changed name. We're going to write this. Okay, we are going to write this. Okay. So, all right. Hey, Krisha, don't go too fast, okay? Because I think we may lose some people. Yeah, no, that's okay. Right. So this is a function. Let's put a comment. Right. Go to line 12, hit enter. And then put a comment there, just for the benefit of people who are just going to latch onto the course and, from some arbitrary point. Function to change the parameter name and return a changed name. And then each student can do this their own way. Okay, so that's a function each one of you is going to do your own way, right? But this is just an example. So you can, on the next line, you can say, this is just an example. This is the function each of you is going to change. Yeah, okay. So, I know on the next line, also put that there. On line 13, hit enter. Line 13, hit enter. And say, this is a function. This is just a sample. Yeah, this is just a sample. This is a function that each of you have to change. Yeah. This is a sample function that each of you have to change. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what are we going to do for the sample? How about this? I have this idea, and if you want to have a different idea, you can let me know. Mine is very simple, and I think we'll do something very similar to what we have to do in the class later on. But what we'll do is let's say string. Let's say we just say no vowels, okay? How about this? We'll do something different, okay? We'll change random letters to random vowels because I think it'll still be pronounceable. Because if you had all vowels too, you can pronounce it, yeah? So it's just, if you even had 1 or 2 consonants and lots of vowels, yeah, you can. Yeah. But some of these languages also exploit that, right? Sounds more musical, like Italian. So because you have more vowels are flexible. Consonants are what we call in linguistics stops, right? This is a linguistic stop, just like that, right? You got to stop the airflow. But vowels are beautiful because you can just glide and shape it like you want, right? So we want to have a lot of vowels. So that's what we'll do. All right. So put a comment there. Put a comment there. Hey, Prashant, but put a comment. One more line. Yeah, and put a comment saying we are going to change random letters, okay? let's say 30%, okay? Let's say we're gonna change 30% of the letters, 30%. So you guarantee at least 1 or 2 changes, I think, in most things. 30% of the letters to random vowels, right? Random vowels. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple of interesting, approximately, right? So they put a ruler or something, approximately 30%, okay? So, we just want to spice it up a bit, change it a little bit from what we did last class. Is that okay with you guys? Can I just do some interesting things? Because, it's basically set you up for experimentation later on. You're going to take this away and change it, right? You're going to be working on advanced questions. This will give you a lot of opportunity for having fun. Okay, all right. So approximately, we're going to change random letters to random vowels. Okay, approximately 30%. Right? Okay, so and then remind people of the comment again one more time, saying this is the part you're going to change, right? Use your own plan and creativity. So put it in comments, okay? Use your own plan, creativity, and plan. You've got to change this. Okay, you can do anything you want. You can also change everything to some Z, right? This person is just Mr. Z from Miss Z, right? And it doesn't matter. It's just the name. So you can do whatever you want. But if you do something boring and easy, you're the one who's not missing it out. This is your opportunity to do interesting things there. Okay, but use your own plan, changes. It can be anything. Okay, creativity. Yeah, and be creative or something like that. Because you're in a nutshell, people who don't want to do this. Be creative. Right, so you didn't say be creative, be creative. Or maybe people are by default. Okay, hit enter. Hit enter. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So we're going to do a couple of things here, which are different from what we've done before. And I'm happy to explain all of those, okay, in good time. Well, even now, after we complete it, that's what good time means, because then there's less chance of being, turned off. All right, so what we're going to do is iterate from the first character of the string to the last character. We've done this before, last class, okay? I'll talk you through this. It's very simple. So you do the for loop there. For size t, right? For, yeah, and size t, okay? Size t is unsigned integer, okay? Size t I equals 0, I equals 0, I equals 0, yeah? It's actually really cool, even on my Mac, at home, when I was doing the online classes from home, Mac screen, even though, even the iMac, I haven't tried the iMac, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's bigger than, maybe it's the size of, I think it's probably the size of this thing here. This is so much nicer, right? It's actually worth coming to tutorial just to get this, because at home I have to change glasses to see what the hell, people are typing. And most of the time I just see bubbles come and go, and that's why I tell students on Zoom, don't use chat. Because the chat thing will just come up in a bubble and I can't see. I see something's coming out of there. And I think I just need more time to see what it is. And it's, things are designed for younger people, I think. They just flash for a certain amount of time and disappear. Okay, all right. So so for times t I equals 0, yeah, all right. So this is how we iterate through all the letters, each of the letters. Yeah. And so what we're going to do now, I think, is we're going to select a random number, and then that random number and we're going to check if that random number is between 0 and it's a random floating point number. Right? Let's say it's going to be generate a random floating point number. We're going to say, is that number between 0 and 0.3 or 0.3 and 0.66 and 0.67? So we get 3 intervals. Yeah. And the probability that it falls in any one of those intervals is 0.3. That's 33%. So that's what we're going to, that's a trick we're going to use. Right? And then you'll see that we're getting exactly the same thing every single time. And I'll show you one small trick to a statement that you can insert in main to make it all random and more truly interesting. But right now, when you run this, you'll see the same thing happening over and over again. So that's okay. Right? I actually want it. Right. So you want to say here, if oh, you want to generate a random number, it's float first. How about one second, okay? We just want 1/3 of it. We don't want to split it into 3 parts. We just want the first third of it. Okay, how about this? Okay, so if ran, if inside the parentheses just say ran, okay, and I'll explain the logic of this, okay? And every one of you, ran, lowercase ran, okay, lowercase ran, open close parentheses. It's like a ran, it's a function call. It's a library call, right? So in the C++ comes with a library of a lot of functions that people have spent a lot of time developing to very efficient and fine detail, right? Like ran, for example, is an incredibly useful and important function that people shouldn't mess with. I've seen engineers who, when they want a bigger random number, they just add random numbers together, right? From here. But, that does not show that they understand statistics or the math language. Because if you add 2 uniform distributions, you actually get a non-uniform distribution. Yes? Those of you who've done statistics. The approach is Gaussian more and more. The more of the normals, the more of the uniforms you add, you get a Gaussian. And that is a pain, because sometimes you're modeling for a uniform distribution, and you can contaminate the distribution based on some data that doesn't follow the pattern that you're expecting in the real world. Yes. So, but I've seen professional, not seasoned professionals, but lots of people make these errors. And so, so the reason I got talking about that was because, RAND. This function RAND is what is random? You can't have a truly random number, right? Everything is, if you some sort of deterministic view of the universe, right? So that RAND is basically just a synonym or euphemism for pseudo random. Meaning it's not really random. It's going to give you a random that is so random that it's going to be hard for you to reproduce, right? And in fact, potentially it could have been run on a computer at AT&T Bell Labs or someplace at DARPA underground, right? And maybe they generated 5 billion numbers based on cosmic radiation. Every time a particle hits something, you get a number, right? So as random as we can get. And they said, this is an experiment that took billions of dollars to build, but I got this table of numbers that is so valuable now because everything else out there is controlled in some way, by some physical forces. But here, I got the most random randoms at all. Right? You can sell those randoms for a huge amount of money. But I think so that is what RAND. That's how we should think about RAND. Because what RAND does essentially is that he's telling us, don't mess with creating random numbers yourself because it's a really hard task. You can't create pure random numbers, okay? I got a really good random number generator and I made a lot of randoms and I stored it in a table. And every time you call RAND, I'm just going to give you the next number from the table. That's what RAND does, okay? So it behaves like a random generator, but it's actually just picking a number from the table and giving it to you. Yeah, so that is what RAND does. Now, if there is a way in which you can tell RAND to start at a different place in the table each time, but we're not doing that now, right? So it's going to give you the same sequence of random numbers every time you call it. In fact, we will do a function and test it out. We can test it out really quickly. Okay, we'll test it out really quickly. And without making any, let's not digress, okay? All right, so RAND, all right, lowercase r. Yeah, lowercase r. Now it's not 0.33 by the way, okay? So RAND, if you look at the man page of RAND, the man page is called man page. It's a manual page. It describes what RAND does. It tells you that it returns an integer, okay? It returns an integer between 0 and max RAND. And the crazy thing is that it's just historical. It's like, going all the way back to the black hole or the Big Bang, right? The RAND was one of the early functions. And so they didn't even have a concept of size t at that time, right? They unsigned integers. So they only had integers, and it was 32-bit integers. And so they didn't have a size bit. And I said, RAND is going to give an integer. But even though it's always going to be a positive integer, right? So RAND always gives you a positive integer, but it is an int, not a size t. I don't know if that fact, maybe you'll appreciate it one day. Okay, it returns a size if you don't appreciate it now. Because size t just has one more bit. But RAND doesn't use it because it's just a historical thing. Many people don't use RAND now because of that. Not because of that. It's got other flaws. Okay, so we're getting a RAND. Now, what we're going to do is because it's in the interval from 0 to maximum RAND, we don't know what max RAND is. But we want you to say this is number go from 0 to max RAND over 3. That's the first third of max RAND. That's range, right? 0 to max RAND is a range, and we want the first third of it. So you want to just say max RAND over 3. So instead of 0.33, no, not there. The RAND, no parentheses there. So instead of 0.33, we just say, less than. You want to have a less than? Yeah, less than. Wasn't it useful, by the way, okay? You started typing you started typing RAND, and I just went into this little thing about RAND. But was that useful to know about the RAND function? Because it's one line, right? Technically, it doesn't make any difference whether you know that detail or not. But I think, now when you use RAND, which I think you're going to use a lot, okay? Something like RAND. Because eventually, when you, for example, if you want to be a game developer, VR, or whatever it is, you're going to be using some kind of random, everything is based on some distribution. So you're going to say, I'm going to use a sophisticated distribution. I'll use a Gaussian there, or some kind of exponential distribution here. It's not a particular gamma distribution to be used for this. Because you're going to be used to this because, AI and everything, it's all based on random things. But, in order to make it interesting, you're going to tweak the distribution with which the AI picks certain moves. Yes, otherwise it won't look like, you designed it or something like that. So you're going to play a lot, especially if you're a game designer, with randomness. But not any old randomness, it's going to be controlled randomness. Because that, everything about the distribution, you control it. And so that is why RAND is a good primer, I think, because it's in CS2A. Because now if you're comfortable with the basic RAND, this is just calling RAND, and later on in a research environment, maybe, right? And you want to do some sophisticated research and simulation, which requires a very specific kind of distribution. right? Then you know, right? So I can use a random, right? And then you know, oh, there's a random object in C++, okay? And the random object can be primed for any distribution you want. That's really cool. And then you go and learn about it. No, I don't have to teach you because now you'll feel that you have to do it. You go and learn about it. And then when you learn about it, you know, all right, I can use this random object in so many different places, right? Because there's so many different simulations you can do. Because many statistical simulations completely change the behavior when you change the distribution of the data. So all of those interesting things, okay? So yeah, if the random number you generate is less than max underscore rank, okay? Max underscore rank. Max underscore rank, that is the maximum ranking number that rank will ever give you, divided by 3.0. Hey, it doesn't have to be 3.0. Just say divided by 3, right? You're gonna get an integer. Max, no, max, no, it's not a function call. Max underscore rank is a constant, okay? It's defined in a library. So don't worry about it. We've got to do a couple of action code files up there. I'll tell you what the use for those things is. The max, it's all uppercase, okay? So all got to be uppercase. Max rank, all uppercase. Yeah, all right. So max rank is a special number that's been defined in a library. And it's in one of the header files that you include. Will say every time you see the word max rank, the compiler should replace it with this big number. Okay, I can tell you what the big number is. It's usually like 32,065, something like that. It's 32,000. Who says a big number? It's only 32,000 because I think it's 2 by 2. I think that's probably what rand returns, but we'll assume it is, right? But we don't care. We don't care what the value is. All we need to know is this number that you generate less than 1/3 of the total range. Max rank is total range. Whether it's 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000 doesn't matter. Is everybody okay with this so far? Yeah. Is this too fast, by the way? Right? We're almost there. Right? And I think after this we should be able to run it. But I don't want to be too fast and lose people out. Okay. So is everybody okay with this so far? Everybody on board? Can you all, if I was to disappear now, right? And can you all, kind of, doesn't have to be complete the way that I thought, but feel comfortable with playing with it and getting it to do something. Yes or no? It's okay if you're not. Okay. It's okay if you're not because we want you to get there eventually. And we need to know if you're there so that I can, right? So I'm going to walk you through, right? This is exactly what happens. Even at work and all, when you hire someone and they're, initially they have a lot of trepidation and panic and they're unsure about a lot of things. But you walk with them initially, right? You walk with them if you're the hiring manager, for example. And even if it's many people, just work with them and walk with them. After a while, they don't need you to walk with them, right? So and then you put the work into cultivating that employee that will pay you back in good ways. Okay, all right. So now, if we're going to do this, well, here's what we're going to do. The character at I, right? The character at I is going to change to some random letter, right? How about this? Yeah, random vowel. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. Up here, line 16. I'm pointing here, but you have no idea what the hell I'm pointing, right? At the end of line 16, hit enter. Hit enter. Yeah, hit enter and say string new name. Okay. Oh, you got that already. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Right. So yeah, new name, and then say equals and initialize it to a blank string. Okay. Equals initialize it to a blank. Yeah, that's great. Okay. And here you want to say, oh, you know what? Say new name equals name. Okay, we're going to start with new name and we're going to change that and then return new name. That's basically what we're going to do. Right. So new name equals name, not a blank string. Just new name equals name. Yeah. All right. Great. Okay. Now here we're going to change. Technically speaking, you can just change the name, okay? But that's detail I won't go into right now. Because what happens when in week 6 or something, you'll understand that I don't have to have this variable at all, right? This variable, the parameter that's passed into me is what is called a copy parameter. Okay, that's something and it's going to be important when you do week 6 midterm. It's very important. There's 2 kinds of ways in which in C++ where you can pass a parameter. That's one of the beauties of C++, right? Because in many languages you can't. You pass the whole thing, and you got to go through extraordinary trouble to get to something that you want. But C++ gives us a really cool distinction, I think, in my opinion, right? So this thing is called a pass by copy the string names to the function. So if you make any changes to it, it's not going to affect the parent, right? The original that I sent in. But C++ gives you a way in which you can say this function is going to change the original, not the copy that you give me. So that is passing by reference, not by copy. Here, there's a preview of week number 6 or 7, right? We're going to cover this topic in great detail, and you'll see the use of it, right? So in certain situations, how it is so much more. Simplifies life a great deal, right? Passing by copy. It's a subtle difference. And most situations doesn't even make a huge difference to the life of a programmer, ordinary programmers. But knowing that very subtle difference allows you to leverage a huge amount of the stuff in the program. Okay, new name of square bracket I equals. We want to pick a random value. Yeah. All right. After line 16, hit enter. We want to define a string called vowels. Okay, define a string called vowels, and then put A, E, I, O, U, and then throw in Y also. Right. So A, E, I, O, U, Y. Yeah. All right, okay. So here, what we want to do is vowels. No. Here, this is a bit that is going to be confusing. Okay, it's going to be confusing. It's just like 15 characters. It's going to be very confusing for beginner, but it's worth spending a bit of time on because a lot of operations condensed into one place. Many instructors would say, I'm going to split it up into 3 statements, right? Calculate this value, take the value, plug it in here, and it's a waste of time. It's not standard C++ again, right? So you don't see professionals doing that, and for good reason. You need to get used to that, like that. And then that's an idiom. Because go after, millions of times in lots of code that you write. So you're going to have that. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to say vowels, square bracket. No, right there. Names, no, already had the present. Yeah, there you go. After name, yeah. Vowels, square bracket. And here, you're going to say vowels dot size. No, vowels dot length. Vowels is for string. What is it for string? Length or size? I use length.
It's in the docs, it's either of them. They're interchangeable.
Sorry, what is it? Oh, it does autocomplete. The vowels got length. No, I think it's L.
I think it's size.
Is it size?
I checked the docs and it's like
Yeah,
under string, it's
Sorry, no, I do it
interchangeable.
all the time. Check the doc, right? Just open another tab in Google. And
I
just
have it
say,
on my second monitor.
C++ string length, okay? And I think you'll find the first one.
The string is technically an array of the characters.
Yeah, but we're not doing that, right?
You have-
Generally it's stored as an array.
Yeah.
But
It's-
the dot length operator does not return the length of the array.
Wait, where is it?
Oh, the dot length operator returns the length of the array.
Here.
Oh, this is like, it's like.
What is that?
The ending here.
Wait. Is that
String dot length. No, just go to Google and say C++ string dot length, right? Just go Google on the URL bar and type C++ space C++. You gotta say C++. Yeah. C++ space string double colon. No, string double colon. Now that notation there, string double colon length. Okay. Yeah, I can't actually see anything you're typing. Okay, it's all mushed together. All the letters are mushed together. I don't know. I don't think these people can read it. But they weren't able to read anything before. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Click that. Yeah. Click that. Okay. What does it do? Oh, it actually does return a length of the string. So I see that. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's what you're going to be doing all the time, right? Starting from now, right into advanced programming. Even after you're a professional, this is what you're going to be doing most of the time. You say, well, I got to do this, but how do I do it? You're going to look at it. Okay. Stack
documentation and Stack Overflow are staple?
more accustomed you get to programming, the more you'll have to look up these kinds of things, I think, right? Because I think one time when I was an grad student in my first PhD, it was a human-computer interaction. And then we did some research into what separates the way the novice looks at a problem and an expert looks at a problem. So how was that relevant to this? What was I talking about? I just totally got lost when I thought about the past here. What was I talking about? Size T. Sorry.
You were telling us we were gonna start.
See, size and length are interchangeable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It will come back to me, and if it does, I'll talk about it. Right. So yeah, size and length are interchangeable. I didn't know that. Okay. I think I've been using some length all the time. So just throw in there. All right. So now you can go back to your window. Oh yes. As you get, yeah. Expert and novice.
I
And
put size here, so I would assume that.
yeah, but what we found was that some preliminary research we found that experts actually know less than novices in terms of facts. And so novices know a lot. Like newborn baby has a lot of neurons in their head, right? But over time, a lot of them get tuned out. And then what actually makes for useful connections are what's left. And I think that is kind of what we saw playing out in the research also, because novices learn a lot of detail, an awful lot of detail. Right? If you take Unix, for example, they learn all of the detail and all the little flags and what all of the things do. But but they're able to they can do a lot of stuff with that. depending on their abilities. But as and when you get more and more accustomed to it, we found that they actually forget these things. And the reason they forget it is because they can just go on and build on top of that and say they trust the internet and all these other sources to say, well, I don't need to know this, I can look it up always. Okay, so you'll find yourself doing more and more of that. And so just get into the habit. Okay, just get into the habit. Every time you have, that's why I have a browser window open. Most of the things I code, whether it's JavaScript or whatever language it is, just look up all the time. So just there's the habit. The new name of yeah, all right, okay. So that pattern here, semicolon here, just yeah, okay. Right, so that pattern there is actually a very nice pattern, okay? And all right, so if it's less, it's going to come and change it. All right, so you can actually get rid of the braces too. The braces are optional, okay? The braces are on the for statement. It's optional because it's stylistic. If you have more than one statement, it's optional. No, if you have only one statement, it's optional. But a lot of people put it in stylistic reasons. But you can do it there if you want. Okay, all right. Is everybody okay? Now, if anybody has any questions at all about line number 24, that is a line that we have to dive deep into and understand, right? Everybody, including all of the online students, need to be completely comfortable with what that line does, okay? So meaning that you look at every character on the line and say, this is what it does, and that's why it's there. There is not a single extraneous character on this line as far as I can tell. Other than names of variables, okay? Every single thing there is absolutely necessary, and it's quite simple. So you just need to know what these things are and what they do. Right? So can someone take, the initiative, for example, right? And just describe it, right? So whether it's online or in class, someone take the initiative and say that's what that line does, okay? So that line 24, just say what the CPU will do, right? When it runs it, what is it going to do? And if you have any questions about any of this, right? The entire for loop, also, this is a great time to ask. Right? I can explain, lots of people can explain, you can run it and see if it works or not, right? We're all, so we have a lot of opportunity to do that. So who can tell me what this line does? Or would you like me to explain what this line does? Okay, so let me know. Online guys too, right? So let me know if you want me to explain what this line does, because it's an important line.
Should I? Or should I have someone else?
Yes, yes. Okay, all right. So this random thing, that's going to return a random number. Yeah. So it's going to return a big random number here. Okay, on line 24. Unfortunately, I'm pointing to the screen, guys. You can't see me, but on line 24, I'm pointing at the random function call. Is that okay with the online guys?
I can.
I'm there. I can't point at something and show you, right? But that, yeah, what Prisha was highlighting. Okay, so that thing is going to return a big ass random number. Isn't that big? Between 0 and 32,000. Okay, now what are we going to do? That percent thing is a mathematical operator. It's not a mathematical operator. It's an arithmetic operator, right? It's going to do an operation. What does it do? This is well worth knowing. Okay, it's like division. It's like division. It's going to take this number and divide it by this number, and and return the remainder. Okay, not the quotient. Remainder. Okay, the quotient is returned. By the division operator. Okay, the percent operator returns the remainder. Okay, which means that if this is divisible by that, it's going to return 0. Is everybody okay with this so far? It's a very useful fact to know. Very super duper useful fact. When you start generating random numbers and all. And you're going to do a lot of that. Yes? Right. So this is like super duper. And so if you have any questions at all, you should ask online guys too, right? Yeah, 10% 3. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, people should do that. Everybody. Anybody who's taking the screen and typing, and we might be talking about some things. And if you think that, I should insert a comment here to make this code more useful to other people who may refer to it, just put it in there, right? You don't have to wait for me to type. This is what I mean, right? So I started off by, maybe Krishnab already knows to, code and all, but even with people who don't know how to code, I will start off by, I start, talking through these things, and sometimes just, let go, and they're just doing the right thing. And it just happens automatically, like the training wheels come off. So yeah, that's kind of like what's going on. Okay, so modulus function. This is what my modulus function does. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Okay. Great. So you can hit enter now. And then is that it? That's it, right? Yes, that's it. Isn't it? That is our entire program. If you run it, did you have a light? You're throwing to the valves? Oh yeah. Okay, we got to set. Where's your change your name function? Because that's what every one of you have got to change. Okay. Go to change your name function. No, in your code. In your code. The function. You can change your name function.
Yeah.
No, in your code, All right, there you go.
Max range is
Yeah,
like
you have to know why in that. Okay, so what you need to do is go up to a hash include iOS string, right? Yeah, all right, hit enter, and I think you have to include, first of all, unistd.h, okay? I think that is Unix standard, I think, okay? And that gives you the header declaration. We'll talk about declarations and header files later on, when the time is right for it. We don't need to know this. So that thing there says, you're using a function that is only available in Unix, and that header file has a bunch of functions like that, and you'll see all of that in that file. Okay, so UNIC. What else is it saying? Oh yeah, you don't have a the double the left the right before the end of and before the end of. Yeah, before the end of, and there's one more include file also will do that. Okay. No,
says there isn't a like sleep is not declared.
oh, that's okay. That's what fix. Oh, so you fix the other one. Oh, good. All right, so now go to the top to the include place. This is a library called standard library. Okay, what are we using for standard library? The sleep is Unix standard library. Oh, yeah. Rand is actually implemented in the library. It's a library function. So because we're using Rand, which is part of the standard library, and in fact that is available on other operating systems too, right? Here on Windows, I think, right? Or Rand, you can use that. Right. So yeah, no, not Rand.h. It's stdlib.h. It's standard library.h. Okay. Now I think you should be able to compile and run it. So I think if you just say, there's another way you can also. Oh, hang on.
Max rand isn't defined.
Oh, rand max, not max rand. Okay, rand max. Thank you. Isidore. Yeah.
Okay.
That's no look it up and like Israel.
Okay.
It's good to actually get it in first and then fix it. Is that good? That's all. What's your name? Okay. How about we try someone? Yeah, but it doesn't matter how many vowels you have in the name. So anyone's name, right? How is someone's got a long name? Okay. So who's got the longest name? Christopher. Is Christopher's longest name here? Let me say, Julia, no, Rebecca, no, Vivian, Kira. Hey, what is your name? Sorry. Is it your first class? Oh, you were here last time too? Oh, man, all right. Caesar, no, that's too short. Okay. Ron. Yeah, Brian Lee. Okay. Isidore, Christopher, no, maybe Christopher. Yeah, no, totally no way. Okay. And Jim, no. Okay, Simon, John. All right, so Christopher's a clear winner. Okay, all right. How about this? Okay, so how about you type Christopher, and we should get a lot of replacements. Okay, a lot of replacements. So, 1/3 of them you change it. Stand by God. Oh, almost there. Oh, you need new lines after that too. Oh, and we waited for the final line. We just got to change it. We say, all right. So let's fix up a few things here. Okay. So a new line. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you, Krishna. Okay. Now a string new name equals, and then you want to say, hey, your new name according to the, on the next line you can say, see it? Your new name according to, the CS2A gods is now, and then print your new name. Okay. And you say, hello, how are you? And followed by a new name. Okay. You just change that person's name. And it'll be really cool because I haven't seen the effect. We just came up with the idea now, right? These are random vowels, but it doesn't have to be a random vowel. You can do other things too. All right, so almost there. Oh, you haven't run it yet. Okay. All right, Christopher. All right, almost there. Circles. What is it? Chris Sucker?
Chris Ware.
What is it? This is over. See, I can see. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's fun, right? You can change random things, not just vowels, you can change consonants, but this is a sample. So again, I don't want to do something really complicated, or even too much fun, because the fun stuff should be done by you guys. If you want to give you a sample, it's something you can do, and I explain how this is done. Now you can just take it away, play with it. That's all we're going to do today, okay? This is our class. We're doing all that stuff. We'll come back to the same code again next week. On Thursday. Same code. We should do the same thing. We want to make sure that when we leave this topic, we have all of next week and all of this week anyway. Even loops and all, we didn't have next week. So we have a lot of time. We'll just stay here and just add these little things every now and then. We want to make sure that every time we move, everybody's with us. Okay. So how about that? Does that plan work with everybody? Okay. All right. So you gotta be patient because you may think, oh, it's even painfully boring because I know all this stuff. And there are people in class who don't have all that stuff, so we just want to make sure that everybody's together, and I think we'll have much better time. All right, so now that it works and you all got some kind of sample template here. So yeah, right. So it's going to return a number between a 0 and the size of random. Wait, that was that size is let's say 7. It's going to return a number. Divide this big number by 7 and return a remainder, and that number is going to be between 0 and 6. Yes. And 0 and 6 is the index you want to use to pull a random character out of this guy, out of the Babel string. So that's all we're doing. We're generating a random number, and then using the random number to index at a random place. Yep, random place into the Babel string, and then pull a random Babel out, and we assign it. Right? He increases probability actually. 50%. Maybe change 50% of the Babels. But rand by 2, rand max by 2. Max by 2. I think that may make it more
I
interesting.
added a line so that it would skip spaces. So if we put 2 names like first and last.
Oh, that's interesting. One more thing. Let's do one more thing. Okay, go to int name, line 35. Go further down. Right now, before what is your name? Right. Yeah. After string name, hit enter. After string name, hit enter. Right. And then one more. Right. Now put a comment there. Comment saying seed the random number generator, so it doesn't start at the same place each time. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get the whole explanation because someone they could be watching this video. Look at this. Seed the random number generator. Seed, S-E-E-D. Everybody understand what seeding is? So you got something that works, and you got to say, I'm going to seed it so that it stands a good place. That's all. That is seeding. Okay. Seed the random number generator. Random number generator. So it gives us a different random number on each invocation of this program, or different random numbers on each invocation of this program.
Different random numbers, so what?
Yeah, this different number on each. I'll go on the next line. Hit enter, and continue the comment, and say different on each invocation, right? On each invocation. It's no uppercase. It's I think maybe it's VS Code. Uppercase. Did you put the capital there, or was it like that?
I put it there.
Okay, on each invocation, off this program. So it's kind of clear. So even if you forget class, you can when you go home, just read the comments. You be very clear what you need to change. And even if you don't manage to do it in class, you got to play around with this, change it, and share different versions of this code. You just share links to online GDB, right? And say, hey friends, go and play. This is my version. Yeah. And everybody should do that. Everybody should post their own version, just like you post your hexadecimal names and so on, right? And we'll have a challenge like that every class. Well, I try to anyway, right? Many of these will go on slowly more and more sophisticated things. Right now we've done loops. Then we'll do arrays, and then we'll do more things. And eventually we'll do something with objects. It'll be fun. Okay. I actually can't wait to get to the place where we can do some really cool, exciting stuff. We've got to that, right? We've got to that in CS2A also. We've got to places where we've done exciting stuff too. All right. So are you all okay with this? Now it's just going to pull a random vowel and put it in new name, and it's going to return it. Yeah. What does it do? What does it do? So when you get a better name now, when you run it.
What should I put? Just Christopher again, or
anything now? Actually, doesn't matter. You try Rebecca. Or Jessica. Oh no, that doesn't matter. Oh, backspaces. Yeah, Rebuka. I know something, you gotta play with this, okay? You gotta play with this, increase the probability, maybe 50%, or or something like that, play with it. And you can make it so that the name just return is fun, okay? Not so close, and at the same time it's recognized. That's all, okay? If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Press, lots of people in this class, okay? Who can answer. I know these results are completed. Hey, Israel, you've completed, right? All the quests? Yeah. Yeah, these are working on green now. But focus on helping other people also now. Right? Okay, you can do green later after this quarter. Oh, you can do it, obviously. In free time. But I got to make use of all the cycles I can get. So I got 2 people already. And then Isidore. And more people are also completing, right? And it's kind of fun. Because more people that get to Blue 9, the last blue class, the more people there are in class who can help other people. Yeah? And it'll actually get to be a lot of fun. Because in the early days of questing, most people wouldn't get to the ninth quest until about, week 8, something like that late. But over time, people are actually getting through to the last quest sooner. So I think we'll have a lot more people helping each other. Okay, so this is it. Great. Everybody okay so far? Do we want to take this to the next level today, or we can wait until next class? We can just take this and play with this. Is that enough for you for today? Yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm not telling you guys to go home already. Okay. So what time is it now? Yeah, we've got a half hour. Yeah, we've got a half hour. It's like less than a half hour. So yeah, you don't have to go home unless you want to. But I certainly, even if you do go home, because it's online people, right? You should implement this, okay? Now, I've just been asking, hey, quick, Krisha, you can actually stop sharing the screen so we can get a bigger window of other people. Okay, all right. So there's a lot of people in class who are not in here, physically present. So tell me if everything we did today was clear and helpful, okay? Because are you comfortable enough to hack your own version of this? You don't have to set up VS Code or Xcode at this point. Because I think that until you get reasonably comfortable with programming, you should, setting up VS Code is a pain. Well, not a pain, but it is non-zero effort. Because there's some things you gotta get right. And I should be
setting up MinGW is incredibly annoying. The compilers for C++.
Yeah, it's getting it right. Once you get it right, it's all cool, I think. But lots of students have a problem. Even Raj was having a problem last class or a couple of classes before. So some library was missing. Xcode is okay because Apple takes care of installing all the components for you. But still, whatever it is, even if it's easy, I think that people shouldn't worry about it until about week 3 even. Not earlier than that. So you should just be using no dirt of online compilers. You just go to Google and type, if not online GDB, there'll be some other place. And they also come and go, come in favor and go, because some of them will be nice to use for a couple of years, and then they'll just bombard you with ads. And then you say, well, I'm not going to use that anymore. There's lots of other sites. Just go to some of them. So you just pick one and code. And if you do it in an incognito window, you don't have to worry, right? It's not going to install any viruses. You can just quit. You don't agree to anything. Just go to an incognito window and open up and go to one of the online compilers. And until you get to programs that are over 200 lines long, up to 200 lines is fine. Just copy and paste, and you can just save that link. The share link that it gives you, just share it in your phone or somewhere. And then anytime you want to edit it, you don't even have to look at your saved version on this. You just go to that URL from anywhere, from a library computer or a friend's computer. You just go to the URL and you start editing. You can fork the code and edit it. It's actually very cool. And I think online GDB maintains your code for at least a couple of years. Because I've gone to student code that was written like a couple of years ago, and I've seen they're still there, right? When you click on the links, you can actually see those. Their code, you can run their code online. So it's kind of cool. So just go ahead and knock yourself out. Okay? Have a lot of fun just using these environments and getting comfortable. Once you're already, reasonably comfortable with C++ and writing these little programs, that will be a good time to look at installing VS Code or Xcode, because now you have the bandwidth, or at least you have the certainty that you know that you're going to use it. Because until you are reasonably comfortable with the language, there's also this mental reticence, I think, reluctance to install it, because I think there's some part of you says, what if I don't like C++, or what if I don't know C++, or don't master it? It's going to be a waste of effort to try and install this thing, or waste disk space. So if you don't have to do that, just get comfortable with it first, which is so easy these days. And then you install it. Then before you install it, you already know, well, I'm going to use it because I've used it and I like it. And then you actually also have a good sense of what to install. And they come with lots and lots of add-ons and packages. So it's actually on the basic version because I'm not doing anything fancy at this point, right? So I don't need these graphics libraries and do these things. So now Chris was developing something on Unreal, and I did a basic install like 250 gig or something like that. And so, but it's just that we have to find out what parts of it we need, and that itself is taking a lot of effort these days. Just to say, all right, go ahead and do the default installation, and just dump everything, which is really big. So I think with some of these editors, yeah, that's why using the online tools, much easier. Okay? So don't bother with trying to install stuff unless you already got like Rebecca, you got VS Code, right? You already VS Code the other day. There are lots of people who have VS Code already, but if you're having problems for a couple of weeks, just don't do this. Okay? Just do online GDP, and then we'll move into VS Code. Hopefully, a lot more people will be able to help you transition. That's all I have. I don't want to introduce any more new concepts today, but the online students, okay, just want to do a check-in with you guys. Anton, all you guys, right? Spencer, Anton, yeah, I keep thinking that Jonah is online, but he's here. Is he here? Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, yeah, Ben, this is a whole bunch of people here. You gotta chime in, okay? You gotta chime in. Vikram, and then Matthew, Dylan, and your camera's off, you know, like that. Zach. At least I'm happy that all of you got your cameras on, which is really cool. Okay. Hey, Anton, is that a photo or are you not moving at all? All right, that's a photo, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So there you go. So there's a whole bunch of people here. Everybody okay with this? Okay, Charlie. Good. Good. Right. And Krisha. Where's Krisha gone? Oh, different pages. 2 pages now. With Zoom. You know, Zoom should give us the option of saying, you know, pick the rectangle size you want. As long as you don't go to thumbnails that you can do. Maybe it's possible. Maybe I just don't know. Okay. So all right. So Krisha or Krish?
Krishav.
Hey, thank you so much for joining. Okay. And then post the link. Post the online GDB link on the subreddit. I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see me pointing at the screen. Okay, so post the link. Okay, post the link. Wow, it's so much clearer. It's so much clearer for me here on the screen than on that lousy monitor. What is that? Like HDMI or VGA or something like that? What am I using?
Wait, how do I get the link?
Huh?
How do I get the link?
Oh, you know what? They're using VGA. Oh no, it's HDMI. HDMI is, you know, bad version. Fanny was explaining this to me today. It's just today, strangely enough. It's much worse than this thing here. Okay, all right. So Krisha, post the link.
Okay.
Not here on Reddit, and say this is what we worked on in class, and also, you know, annotate it. And this is also for your final report. And make a note in your notebook or something like that, saying I coded in class, and this is the link. And then in your Reddit post, you can say, you know, I highly recommended that everybody develop their own version, right? It can be exactly the same. That's fine, okay? You got to make it your own by taking the copy in your own editor or in your own browser, running it, okay? So that is yours. It's your own now. So you got it running. That's your first step. The second step is after you've got it running, go ahead and change it. It's going to be super duper simple to change it, okay? Maybe you can just flip, you know, A, E, I, O, U, Y. You just flip it around, or, you know, change them random things into consonants. You start making little changes, and then when you start making little changes, it'll just bite you, okay? So you'll just see, right? So you get bored with the little changes, and you start making more aggressive changes, okay? And you just see that after a while of playing with it, that's why you got to consciously allocate 1 hour of your time, okay? So right now it's going to be super duper hard, especially since you're enrolled in so many other classes. And the temptation is high to say, well, you know what? I know what's being covered. I'll come back to it in week 9. And that's what I used to do when I was an undergrad student. Right? I always, you know, say, oh, that's what's being covered. All right, I'll just go and party and then we'll come back in the last couple of weeks. You know, that's why most students do that. And say, you know, going to college, you get a sense of freedom and you want to enjoy it. It's the first taste of freedom. Right? So they say, you know, that's what I'm going to do because, you know, stuff, educational stuff, I can pick it up later. And many people are more confident of their abilities than they really are. That's the danger. Okay. If you really know that you can pick it up in 2 weeks and make a good job of it, that's okay. But I think lots of students don't have the experience yet. You know, you got to live 50 years before you know how much time it's going to take you to do various things. Because that's always changing as you get older. So but lots of students misestimate that and say, I only need 2 weeks. So yeah, people say I only need 2 weeks and I can learn all of that material in 2 weeks before the final exam. Totally not going to cut it. Okay, I guarantee that right now, because you know I used this analogy in the talk earlier today with the online students, or maybe yesterday. Right? It's like watering a plant. You can't say I'm going to take all the water and dump it there, you know, in the first day. You got to take. It takes time to sink in. And you can't say, I'm going to remember. Best you can do if you apply yourself in just the last couple of weeks before the final is that you just be a good memorizer, like an automaton, someone who's going to be replaced very soon by machines. Okay? Because if you're just going to do that, there's no difference. What you need to do is take that information and not just present it like an echo chamber, Okay, you're gonna take that and then get to understand it, get to know it so well that now anyone asks for the information, you don't have to give it back to them verbatim, which is what someone will do who doesn't understand it. Okay? If you don't understand the topic, you just memorize something or a couple of different ways of doing it. Someone asks how you do it, you explain one way another way a finite number of ways. So it's a finite number of ways. But when you actually dwell on it long enough and it becomes part of you, it just you leave the lattice points and enter the continuum. I think that's what it is. Because now you don't look at the problem in one perspective only, because now you've got this extrapolated from a finite set of points to the continuum, the surface underneath. And so someone comes to you with a lattice point that's not been known before, right? It's a completely new explanation. Maybe it's a student that has a special need, right? So I don't have to look for a manual that says this is how you teach a student with that particular special need, because there's manuals for this all over the place. Right? Every single special need you can imagine, we've discovered ways in which we can position the education. And then there are courses that people have to go on to say, well, this is how I handle cases where it's hard for a student to do this. But really, no. All of that, I think, in my opinion, is it's second in usefulness after understanding the subject. Because once you understand it totally, it does not matter what the student is challenged by. You would be able to reach the student and teach them because you understand it yourself. So you can stoop to any level and say, well, this is how it works. If you don't understand that, let's go one level deeper. Because I can explain it to you all the way down to electrons or fields. So you just say something like that, right? So that is what we're going for. And no idea how we got started talking about that. But that's what it is, okay? So just take your time, practice, get to know the surface of programming science, the surface of computer science by sampling as many discrete points on it as possible. Okay, that is your best machine learning or AI problem. Okay, because AI, that's the fundamental problem in AI. Later on, when you go do research in AI and all, right? Really, the problem is you're given a number of data points and you have to find the surface, right? When I say surface, now when once you get past even grad level stuff, you're not looking at three-dimensional surfaces anymore. Because once the 3 dimensions and 2 dimensions are only useful for us to develop intuition about what the hell goes on. Once you understand what the hell goes on, it's not limited to this is calculus, right? You just do it with XYZ first, right? The partial derivatives. It doesn't mean the world is made of partial derivatives. It's just an example for you to say, well, this is how you do it if you want to extrapolate to multiple dimensions. From that point onwards, it's still a discrete number of dimensions because you're dealing with discrete worlds, right? But it is now, what was I saying? Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so it is fun. Okay, it is fun, and you should absolutely get into it. And I'm there, right? So I'm happy to work with you, right? Even if I don't work at Foothill, it doesn't matter to me, right? Then I work with people who just need them for nothing too sometimes, and then we just have fun. We just pick interesting projects and work on them, especially if it's something that has got other elements of fulfillment, or like art or music or something like that, which intersperses with computer science, and you can combine them to produce something beautiful. So those are kinds of projects that I would be happy to, even fun sometimes, right? So yeah, absolutely do it, because I think there is this whole ocean of pleasure. Right, any field you pick, whether it's music or things like that, it's, we shouldn't restrict ourselves to say, I'm just going to sample the top of it, right? Yeah, you need to say, I'm going to fix the bottom of this and see what curves I can find. That's basically it, right? What time is it? 7:57. Right, we got like 10 minutes, I think. But obviously, right? I say I'm probably taking a lot of time, right? I should just shut my trap and sit here, okay? And you guys should be working on your own versions right now, right? Instead of letting me talk, and nobody actually. Okay, so you guys should just code, okay? So we got 10 minutes, more than enough time. So each of you code a version of your thing, okay? And then you're going to share that online DDB link to the person sitting directly opposite you, right? So, all right, how about Caesar? You go and sit opposite to Ian, okay? Yeah. You know how to spell his name? Hey, how do you spell his name, Caesar? How do you spell his name? Hi, Ian. Oh, good. All right, so go and sit there. All right, so everybody develop your own version, including Isidore, okay? Because otherwise we'll be out of a pair. Okay, so work on your own version of make a name, and when you've got it ready, and you call and talk to the person on the other side and say, do you want to, exchange, and then they would have to go and work and swap it using your messaging thing, and then click on it and play. Okay, you should run it without looking at that code. Because you look at the code, oh, right, this is hero wanted to replace all the consonants, right? And then before you run it, if you look at it, it's not that much fun. Because by the way, when you share the URLs, make sure it runs, okay? So that the other person doesn't have to look at the code and fix it. And then we'll run it and have fun. Okay? I think that's it. Next class, what we'll do is we'll talk about next time. Hey, online guys, you guys too, okay? You got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes. What you have to do is develop your own version, yeah? And then share it with someone else online. Just don't pick these guys are all paired up. And so, for example, Spencer and Yang, you are online? No, oh, Yang. Yang, it shows Yang. I see, okay. I thought your real name was Yang. All right, okay, cool. That explains the whole, a lot. It's about EAM on the roster. Okay, all right. So Charlie, you maybe swap with Spencer. You just pick, Ben, and so on. Krishav, you should also work on doing a new version of it. Okay.
Okay.
You got a problem? Yeah, we'll wait for someone. So it's not running? Oh, you don't understand any of this, all right? These are just include files, okay? But by the way, you're just calling me, maybe there are lots of people. If you just call me and I talk to you, maybe the same problem other people are having and they're just scared to ask. Yeah? So do you mind if I just say, if I ask in general, who are, there are some people in class who don't know what the hash include and things like that do. Do you want me to talk about that? Yeah, okay. Hey, by the way, we will also talk about the same program next week, okay? It's not like you don't understand it today and you're sunk. We're going to talk about this on Thursday too. And then, obviously changes that people make, also we'll look at that too. But if you don't understand anything, we're still going to look at it on Thursday. We want to make sure that everybody is on the same page, okay? So, all right. So some people are having difficulty understanding what the program does in the first few lines, hash include and stuff like that. Online guys, right? So online guys, you got to tell me. Do you want me to talk about that? If you want me to talk about that, I will talk about that. Otherwise, we will still talk about that next week, okay? Next week or on Thursday. On Thursday, we will certainly talk about that because 7 minutes. Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Okay, all right. So let's. Hey, Krishav, can you get that code up again really quickly? Okay.
Sure.
Krishav, yeah. Okay, Ian. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this now. Krishav is going to share.
I added some stuff, so I just deleted that. Quick.
What?
Okay, here.
Oh, you added some stuff?
Yeah,
No,
but
no.
just
So
removed
some
it.
people are a little confused about the top part. Okay, let's just go right to the top. In fact, open a new tab. We'll just do a very simple exercise. Okay, open a new tab. Online GDB. Okay, yeah, this is what we're going to do. It's your very first program, and this program is just going to. That's your first program. Okay, when you just go there, and you go here, this is the program, and what this says, hash include IO string. It says this program is written in an English-like language. C++ is all said and done. People may think it's like a fancy computer language. But really, it is a very English-like language. It has English words like for and while and things like that. Yes, if you want to program in real computer science, you got to go to ones and zeros or hexadecimal code. We've done that. I've done that in a long past. But lots of people do that. In fact, there's a story that one Nyman. But anyway, never mind that. Okay, right. So everybody has to. So this language, what we see here, is only for humans. Okay, C++ is for humans to understand. The computer cannot run this program. Oh, online guys, are you guys okay with that? The computer cannot run that program like that. It is for humans. Okay, now what happens is we have this program called a compiler, which is already a program. And that program is, that knows both the machine's language as well as human language. Does that make sense? Okay, we got a translated program. Okay, so that program is called a compiler. Okay, so when you hit the run button here, this green run button, that website, online GDB or whatever it is, right? They are going to take the code in here, in this window, save it in a file. Yeah, it's going to go in a file. And they're going to call the compiler program. Say, hey, Mr. Compiler, come here. Here's a file that's got English-looking statements. Turn it into machine language that the CPU in here can understand. That's all that's going on, okay? It sounds like a mouthful here, but you just have to dwell on it for, I don't know, a couple of hours maybe. Once it sinks in, it just becomes second nature to you. You know that's what's going on. Is everybody okay with this? Because, Ian had a little bit of a confusion there, but it'll be a real pity. It'll be a real pity if you miss out on all the cool things to come because of some silly roadblock like this. So I want to make sure that everybody's past this, okay? So you want to make sure that you are absolutely comfortable with everything in this simple program. So in that other thing that we have, this hello world, Khrushchev has got that there, okay? So does everybody understand what's going on there? That program is going to be given to the compiler, and the compiler will take this English-like thing and turn it, well, this is not this, okay, you got to look at Khrushchev's screen, right?
So what is this?
This is much bigger.
iOS 3.
So all right. So now, so Ian has a question. What is that thing called hash include IO string? Now, when you write things like in C++, like C++, okay? So you use things like C out and C in and things like that in your program, yes? But really, did you go and create C out and C in? No, they're already. So the C++ designers, the programming, the people that created C++ said, well, if I just give them a translator without doing anything at all, it's going to be a real pain in the ass to use it. Yes, because it doesn't know anything at all. You got to tell it all the little things. So when you buy the compiler for whatever money you pay it, they give you a compiler that can translate, but also already has some basic things auto-translated, right? I mean, they've written the translation for basic things. Like if you want to print something, if you want to stream into which you have stuff things that will go directly to your console, or you can read from the keyboard. So those are basic objects that they already created for you, because otherwise C++ is not going to be fun, fun experience, right? You got to create all these little things. Lego is no fun if everything you get is only those little bricks, right? You got these fun fancy shapes, sometimes even complex shapes that you put together using the basic shapes, and many of those that you can sell. And so after that, it's a lot more fun because you can get more creative. That's exactly what's happening here, right? The standard library is full of such functions and objects, right? Which you're going to encounter later on. So yes, Juliana.
So I don't know if that would be easier for you, but for me, I like to look at it like as the compiler being like a translator.
Yes.
That translates like from our language to like the computer language, like the zeros and ones, whatever. And everything you call like in the beginning, like the include, is like the dictionaries you're using. So
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like it's basically like a group of words that you're gonna use.
Yes. So you're priming the compiler. You're priming the compiler with these
Yeah.
words, saying your vocabulary.
Yeah, basically, I like to imagine like this because it's a lot easier for me.
Yeah, but that is actually the right interpretation too, actually. So then thank you for saying that, okay? Because maybe I should have used an analogy. So what's done? So all of these things like cout and things like that, they've already been written for you, and you can call them and say, hey, cout, do this job for me. However, as Julian says, there needs to be a dictionary or vocabulary saying, hey, Mr. Compiler, here are all the things that are available in the standard library. So if the user, says, give me a cout, don't throw in the towel and complain, saying, I don't know what cout is. So there is a bunch of these declarations, they're called declarations, saying these are objects that I've created for you, don't complain if the programmer doesn't use them. Cout is in there, and L, right? So you're using end L, right, in your program? But you didn't define it, it's there. End L, CN, there's lots of little things that you eventually come across one by one. It's not a whole lot, actually. It's just a handful of them, enough to get comfortable, I think. So yeah, they're there. Hash include IO stream basically says that hash include essentially says to the compiler, at this point, you're going to see after hash include, you're going to see IO stream or some file, right? So let's say en.h. Yeah, some file, some name.
Okay, I know the file name.
You gotta tell it.
Like.
That hash include, the hash include says, hash include a file called en. Yeah, in this case, it's iostream.h. That is a directive. That's a directive to the compiler that says there is a file called iostream.h somewhere in the system library. That contains the vocabulary that Juliana was talking about, saying that contains a list of all the things that is available.
But I think the point is like, do we have to memorize this hashtag
Yes.
include something?
That's what I.
But yeah, okay, all right, yeah, you don't have to memorize it because it's part of most IDEs. It'll just come up
It
automatically.
just comes with it. Okay, so we don't have to
Yeah,
worry
even if
about
you have to
it.
memorize it, it's,
Okay.
you know, it's like 3 or 4 like that, okay? And later on, when you're doing more complex class, the specific things that you include, like if you want to use an array, you use a hash include vector, right? So this vector is a standard, is a data structure that lets you do lots of cool things to an array. And you don't have to re-implement all of that from scratch. It's already there, but you say hash include vector, and then you can link it to those vectors. So there's a lot of those we'll cover eventually. In fact, by the I think by class 6, you're going to be using vectors. Okay, so you'll see template code and starter code that actually uses these things. We start using these slightly more and more sophisticated data structures gradually. And in 2B, you will actually be creating some of these data structures too. Some really cool, fun data structures. Okay, and the fun part about these data structures is that lots of things that you can do on them is not immediately obvious at all. If you show someone this and say this is what you do, if you do this, this thing is magically going to appear. It actually seems like magic because you can't see any sense. How does this happen? Especially if you follow through the little detail and say, that's never going to happen because it's going to cross over or something like that. But the algorithms are usually designed with these fine vision, right? They're looking at these corner cases and say it'll never get there. And there's all elaborate mathematical proofs sometimes to say, this guarantees that the search space of the algorithm will be limited to this area. Right? All of these fun things you can do later on, and they'll all just present themselves on demand. You don't have to say, well, I need to know about gradient design. Right, good, we'll read up on it. No, my philosophy is that just learn about computer science or anything that you're into, just learn about the techniques and general things, but then bring it to bear on what you already know. And bring because polishing your own creativity is the most enjoyable job on earth, right? So learn the tools and techniques, but don't polish something else. Polish, use that to come up with interesting things. I think it's a lot more fun, especially with computer science. Yeah, I look forward to this. Okay, on Thursday, what we'll do is we'll take this exact same program. Okay, not the hello world, right? We're going to go back to that program. Yes. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what logic, like, how do I know if I put using namespace STD? So what STD means?
I see.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just
So in fact, people are getting ready to go.
Yes.
I got you. All right. No. Wait a sec. Okay. Here is a couple of things we can do. You can ask this question in the forums, right? Either me or Chris or lots of people will be able to help you.
My question is almost
For this
everything.
program.
Okay.
For this program, you can say this is the program we wrote in class today. Can someone explain what goes on in line 4 or 5? Yes. Is that workable? Right. That's one option. Obviously. The other option is we'll talk about this on Thursday again. Yeah. On Thursday, how about this? You can take the screen, right? So you'll actually be coding all of this. No, don't laugh. Okay, it's fun. It's fun. It's like totally fun. I'm gonna take you through every single step of the way, right?
Because I'm sad I have never learned before about.
Okay, you gotta learn. Okay, we'll make sure you learn.
thing.
Ask the question. I'm gonna be looking for a question from you, right? You got to take the question, the program, try to understand it. If you don't understand any part of the question the program, take a screenshot of that rectangle and say, I don't understand what happens in this program with code in the class. Okay? I'm sure lots of people will just pounce on trying to answer that question. Okay? Because there's juicy opportunities like that. And again, that's points for you at the end too, in your final report. You say, well, you know what? I didn't understand this. I asked this question and I elicit these incredibly cool responses. Because I'm not going to answer every question because I don't give the same old answer like I've given many times. But sometimes I see surprisingly beautiful answers from students, from your own classmates. And later on, maybe you'll give one of those answers too. So all of that is possible. But ask in the forums, okay? You got to ask. Yes?
Ask what?
You can ask in the subreddit
Yes.
of, I'm trying to follow that program and I don't understand this. It could be line 2 and 3. And you can say, what is the namespace standard? That's fine too, right? You can say, what is namespace standard? And we'll make sure that, because it's not just you. Okay? Lots of people think you're just me. And again, it's duck feet syndrome, right? I stopped talking about that. Because a lot of people are doing a lot of work, but you don't see it. So just And I'm pretty sure there's at least a couple of people online, okay, online, who also don't understand it, but they're too shy, cultural reasons, millions of reasons. And so, by asking, you'll be helping other people, okay, not just you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be looking for your question, okay? Awesome. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around even past the time and all. This usually happens in my online classes, but you're at home, right? Now you gotta go home and all. Thank you all so much. I'll see you guys on Thursday, okay? You guys all coming back?
Can I do it online?
Yeah, you can just short it. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's gonna start raining, I think some big rains
Oh,
are
it's gonna
forecast.
be hella hot.
Oh, it's hot.
Like, it's gonna be
But later on,
90.
it's gonna be raining, and then we'll all be online, okay? Everybody will be on. Hey, see you later. See you, Kara. Yeah, hey, see you later. Hey, Chris, are you done with your college apps?
No.
You're also new to
Oh, wow.
Okay, I also don't understand. So
Every single.
everything. That's why I said.
Every spare.
Hey, what's your phone number so we can like talk first? We're both on the.
Great. And thank you for. Oh, cool. Yeah. Because it's always, because nobody's had that experience. Even when I go on with somewhere experience or something, they do some great shit. Thank you. Yeah. Are you good now?
Yeah, but I just.
Don't worry. It's a problem with the chance. This is safe. Oh, no. We got a lot of time. So week 11, I'll reopen all of this. Yeah, week 11. So you don't have to worry about that. But you still have to read data. Do you understand? Yeah. And then that's it. The quest is due on Monday. First 2 quests. So make sure you do that before Monday. The first 2.
Oh, you mean class 1? Yeah, also about that. Why going to the.
Yes, you have to. Everybody's doing that.
I'm still a little confused. Can I have the data?
No. You should ask them the subreddit and someone will actually walk you through it. Okay, because numbers are videos and all of this, right? And lots of other people are also confused, not just you. So if you ask, then it'll help other people. Yeah? All right. See you next class, okay? All right, Caesar, you good? Yeah.
Basically, it's better way of stop.
It doesn't work? Alright, how about this, okay? Doesn't work, good. You gotta ask, hey, why doesn't it work? You take a snapshot of that and ask in the forums, okay? All of these are really good conversation starters because you get to know other programmers with you, yeah? Okay, great. Excuse for talking. Yeah.
Syntax question?
Yeah, sure.
What is the syntax like when you use?
Yeah, see, this is a constructor. Yeah, there's a shorthand for the constructor. And this basically says, there's a member called song, initialize it with a parameter song. Yeah. There's a member called next, initialize it. It's basically, and even if you had numbers, you could find. Yeah. And then it also says that's the end of the constructor. Yeah. And also, this doesn't have to be empty braces. You can actually have more stuff in there. Yeah. But it's cool, right? Because it's a,
I like the way of having declarations in the header file.
Yeah.
You do the implementations.
Did you answer the question? Because someone asked about this on the forum.
I haven't been already. I'm supposed to tomorrow. I think I'll be allowed on Reddit.
Right. Oh, you were banned?
No. I do like sessions, so I sit for like an hour and just look through their Reddit pool, right, as much as I can. Really
Cool.
So that if there was some questions about that. Also, and this might be something else, like as a subreddit, because I know what recursion is, but I do not know what you mean when you say do not do recursive free.
So if you have a destructor, that is going to free something, and then it's going to call the destructor on a child member of the same type.
Yeah.
Then it's going to recursively it's going to destruct again. So if you have long linked list, and then if you have like a 1,000,000 node linked list, it will run out of stack space and die.
Yeah, I see. Oh, I see. That's cool.
That's all. This is quest 1 of green, right? Oh,
yeah, it's the first one.
Yeah. You got a lot of time for that.
Yeah, but I just think it's funny.
Yeah, let's turn this around. Yeah, this is
I
not
wanna
my. Yeah, sure.
Can I get online class next this Thursday?
What, you're not in this class at all?
Oh no. I mean I go this class online on Thursday.
Give me 1 sec, okay? I'm gonna
Okay,
stop the
okay.
recording.
Okay.